Colorado's Deion Sanders blocks player interviews after loss. In Boulder, the atmosphere following Colorado's latest defeat was unlike anything the college football world had seen since Deion coach prime Sanders first arrived in town. The post-game interview room, usually filled with players sharing reflections, frustrations, and hope, sat in a rare silence. For the first time in his 3-year tenure leading the Buffaloes, Coach Prime didn't allow a single player to speak to reporters. The reason, as Sanders explained bluntly, was simple. The loss was on him. No deflection, no excuses, no finger-pointing, just accountability. Don't attack the coordinators. Come at me. Don't attack the players. Come at me, Sanders said, his tone sharp and unflinching. It was a declaration of ownership after one of the most demoralizing defeats of his coaching career. A 52-17 meltdown at home to the Arizona Wildcats that left fans speechless and the Buffaloes searching for answers. The loss was Colorado's 6th of the season, dropping them to 3-6 overall and 1-5 in Big 12 play. It wasn't just a loss. It was a collapse, one that felt eerily similar to the previous week's disaster at Utah, where the Buffaloes were obliterated 53-7. Over those 2 weeks, Colorado has been outscored 81-7 in the first halves alone, a statistic that paints a bleak picture of a team struggling to stay competitive. A game that slipped away before it ever began. Against Arizona, Colorado's hopes unraveled almost instantly. The Buffaloes fell behind 38-7 by halftime, undone by a staggering combination of penalties, turnovers, and missed opportunities. They committed 9 first-half penalties, self-inflicted wounds that stalled drives and erased big plays. By the time the game ended, that number ballooned to 14. 5 turnovers sealed their fate, erasing any chance at a comeback. 2 of those penalties proved especially devastating. A 75-yard touchdown pass that could have shifted the game's momentum was wiped away by a flag. Later, what seemed to be a timely interception, a moment that could have injected life into a reeling defense, was nullified for the same reason. Every time the Buffaloes appeared to rise, they tripped over their own mistakes. Standing on the sidelines, Sanders looked like a man carrying the full weight of his program on his shoulders. His usually magnetic energy, the charisma that turned Colorado football into a national phenomenon just 2 seasons ago, was replaced by visible frustration. Yet even in defeat, he refused to shift blame elsewhere. "We had good practices. I didn't see this coming," Sanders admitted. "But I'm not going to point fingers. I know a quitter when I see one, and I haven't seen that." Quarterback chaos and a glimpse of the future. One of the most striking storylines of the game was Colorado's carousel at quarterback. It began with Kaidon Salter, the former Liberty transfer, who had been tasked with stabilizing an offense that struggled since Shedeur Sanders left for the NFL. But Salter never found his rhythm. Despite completing 11 of 15 passes, he managed just 49 yards, a stat line that reflected an offense paralyzed by hesitation and disconnection. In the second quarter, Sanders made the difficult call to bench Salter, turning instead to sophomore Ryan Staub. Yet Staub's outing was even shorter and more disastrous. Both of his passes were intercepted, one of them leading directly to an Arizona touchdown. The offense, at that point, looked entirely out of sync. Then came a small but significant spark. Freshman quarterback Julian "Juju" Lewis entered the game. His very first major play was one to remember, a 59-yard touchdown bomb to Amarian Miller, the first of his college career. It was also, ironically, longer than all of Salter's combined passing yards for the game. For a brief moment, Folsom Field erupted. It was the glimpse of hope fans had been begging for. But that glimmer faded as quickly as it appeared. Late in the fourth quarter, Lewis injured his throwing hand, exiting the game in visible pain. Sanders later confirmed that the injury wasn't expected to be serious, but the sight of yet another young player going down added to the heartbreak of an already devastating night. A coach alone in the storm. After the game, the locker room was tense but quiet. No players faced reporters, no captains spoke up. That silence wasn't about hiding, it was a statement orchestrated by Coach Prime himself. "This one's on me," Sanders repeated. "The players don't deserve to be attacked for this. You want to talk about accountability? Talk to me." It's not the first time Sanders has taken full ownership of a loss, but the tone was different this time. There was no bravado, no motivational spin, just brutal honesty. "I don't doubt me," he said firmly when asked if the team's struggles have shaken his confidence. "Let's get that straight. I don't doubt me." Those words resonated not as arrogance, but as conviction. Sanders has built his brand and coaching philosophy around belief. At Jackson State, that belief turned an overlooked HBCU program into a national powerhouse. At Colorado, it transformed one of the worst Power 5 teams in America into must-watch television overnight. But belief alone can't erase penalties, turnovers, and inconsistency. The bigger picture. A program searching for itself. Colorado's late-season collapse has reignited questions about the state of the program. After a promising start under Sanders in 2023, the Buffaloes now appear to be spiraling. Fans who once packed Folsom Field to see the Prime effect are growing restless. Social media, which once amplified Sanders' swagger and message of hope, has turned critical. Still, there's no denying what Sanders has done for Colorado football. He brought national relevance, celebrity attention, and recruiting power the program hadn't seen in decades. Even now, despite the setbacks, his players still speak about him as a mentor and motivator unlike any other. Insiders close to the team say Sanders remains unwavering behind the scenes, addressing players individually, urging them to fight through adversity, and reminding them of the bigger picture. "He's not the kind of man who hides from a storm," one staff member reportedly said. "He stands in the middle of it and keeps pushing everyone forward." The emotional toll of leadership. Behind Deion Sanders' signature confidence lies a man who's endured immense personal trials. His health battles over the last year, from multiple blood clot surgeries to a bladder cancer diagnosis, have tested his resilience off the field. Yet he's continued to show up day after day, leading with energy and faith. That's what makes nights like this particularly painful. It's not just about losing a football game. It's about watching a vision temporarily falter. Sanders has often spoken about the power of belief over circumstance. But belief is hardest to hold when the scoreboard reads 52-17. After the game, as reporters pressed for answers, Sanders didn't raise his voice or deflect. Instead, he leaned back, sighed, and said quietly, "We're better than this. We've got to be." What comes next for Colorado? With the loss, Colorado's path to a bowl game has grown nearly impossible. To become eligible, they'd need to win out against West Virginia, Arizona State, and Kansas State. A tall order for a team that hasn't shown consistency on either side of the ball. But for Sanders, the rest of the season isn't just about wins and losses. It's about identity. He has a roster filled with transfers, freshmen, and players adjusting to new systems. The question now is whether he can mold that group into something cohesive before the offseason. "This isn't about talent," Sanders said earlier this week. "We got talent. This is about discipline. This is about unity. This is about brotherhood." Those words echo eerily after the team's latest outing, especially following Ray Lewis's fiery address to the Buffaloes days earlier, in which the Hall of Famer told the team he saw no brotherhood. For Sanders, that message must now become a mission. A legacy still being written. The Deion Sanders story at Colorado isn't over, not by a long shot. Every great coach has endured seasons like this. Moments when expectations crash into reality, when hype meets hardship. What defines Sanders now isn't the scoreboard, but how he responds. In the face of adversity, he's chosen accountability. He's chosen to shield his players from public criticism. And most importantly, He's chosen to keep believing in himself and the program he's building. "I've been doubted my whole life," Sanders once said. "That's why I never stop believing in me." For Colorado fans, that belief might be the only thing holding the program together right now. A reminder that the brightest lights often flicker before they shine again.